No one prepares you for the moment when life starts slipping away. Not falling, slipping. There is no crash. It's no dramatic scene. Just a quiet realization that something is wrong. He didn't wake up one day and lose everything. He woke up many days feeling slightly worse than the day before. At first he ignored it. Everyone gets tired. Everyone feels unmotivated sometimes. That's what he told himself. But weeks turned into months. And months turned into a pattern. He started waking up already exhausted, not physically, mentally. His mind felt heavy before the day even began. Tasks felt larger than they were. Decisions felt overwhelming. Small problems felt personal. He noticed something strange. The things that once excited him now felt distant. Goals that once mattered now felt pointless. And the worst part was this: life kept moving, even while he stayed still. People around him were changing. They were growing, improving, becoming someone, and he was surviving, barely. He spent more time escaping than building, scrolling instead of thinking, consuming instead of creating, comfort instead of challenge. Every night, he promised himself tomorrow would be different, and every morning he broke that promise quietly. No one confronted him, no one warned him, because from the outside, he looked fine. That's how silent decline works. You don't lose everything publicly, you lose it privately. Confidence faded first, then discipline, then belief. He began blaming everything except the one thing that mattered. The system, the timing, the past, other people. Anything that protected him from the truth. Because the truth was uncomfortable. The truth was this: no one was holding him back. He was slowly letting himself go, not out of laziness, out of fear. Fear of failing, fear of trying and still falling short. Fear of discovering his limits. So he chose safety. And safety slowly turned into a cage. Days blended together. Weeks disappeared. And one evening, sitting alone in silence, he asked himself a question he had been avoiding for a long time. How did I get here? There was no answer, only regret. That night, he didn't sleep. Not because he was anxious, but because he was finally aware. Aware that his life wasn't broken, it was unattended. And unattended things decay. That realization didn't motivate him. It didn't inspire him, but it woke him up. Because for the first time, he understood something clearly. If nothing changed, this would be his life, forever. Awareness changes everything, but not immediately. Knowing your life is slipping away doesn't fix it, only removes your excuses. After that night, he started seeing things differently. The same room, the same routine, the same habits, but now they felt exposed. Every distraction looked like avoidance. Every delay looked like fear. He noticed how often he negotiated with himself. Just today, I'll start tomorrow. Once things feel better. Those words sounded harmless, but they were stealing his future. He realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't unlucky, was undisciplined, and discipline had been replaced by mood. If he felt good, he worked. If he didn't, he waited, and waiting had cost him years. This truth hurt more than failure ever did, because failure can be blamed on effort. But this was neglect. He started replaying moments in his mind. Opportunities he avoided because they felt hard, conversations he postponed because they felt uncomfortable, decisions he delayed because they demanded responsibility. None of them ruined his life on their own, but together, they built the cage he was living in. For the first time, he didn't ask how to escape pain. He asked how to endure it, because comfort had not saved him. Comfort had weakened him. He saw how he had trained himself to avoid difficulty. Any task that felt heavy, he postponed. Any challenge that felt uncertain, he abandoned. And slowly, his tolerance for discomfort disappeared. That was the real damage, not failure, not loss. It was weak tolerance. Life didn't defeat him. He stopped resisting. That realization was sharp. But inside that pain, something shifted. He stopped asking for motivation. He stopped searching for inspiration videos, quotes, or external energy, because he understood something crucial. Motivation had become a crutch, and crutches don't build strength. What he needed was not excitement, it was structure. Something boring, something repetitive, something uncomfortable, something that didn't care how he felt. That idea scared him, because structure removes excuses. Excuses were the only thing protecting his comfort. That day, nothing magical happened. He didn't feel powerful. He didn't feel confident. But he felt responsible. And responsibility feels heavy before it feels empowering. He didn't promise himself a new life. He promised himself something smaller, to stop quitting on himself. Even when it felt pointless. Even when no one noticed. Especially then. That was the moment of truth. Not a breakthrough. Not a transformation. But a quiet internal shift from victim to participant. And once that shift happens, there is no going back. Change doesn't arrive like a hero, all flashy and exciting. It shows up like a burden, heavy and unwelcome. After deciding to finally take responsibility for his life, he expected to feel a sense of clarity, a new direction. But instead, all he felt was resistance. Every single morning felt heavier than the last. It wasn't because life was suddenly harder, but because he had finally stopped lying to himself. There was no sudden jolt of excitement waking up early. There was no deep satisfaction in doing the hard, uncomfortable work. There was no immediate reward waiting for him, just effort. That constant effort exposed just how weak his discipline had become. His own mind fought back, whispering doubts in his ear. Why start now? What's even the point? Look at them. They have it so much easier. And the scary part? Those thoughts didn't feel like excuses. They felt completely logical. That's just how the mind works. It's designed to protect your comfort zone. He learned a crucial lesson very quickly. This wasn't a motivation problem, it was a control problem. His emotions craved comfort and the easy way out. But his future, the life he wanted to build, demanded structure and discipline. And those two forces were locked in a constant war. So he made a pivotal decision. He stopped waiting to feel ready. He acted even when he was tired. He acted when he felt zero motivation. He acted when he was filled with uncertainty. Because waiting for the right feeling was the very habit that had destroyed him in the first place. He started building his days around a few simple, non-negotiable rules. Things so basic they were almost embarrassing. Wake up at the same time every day. Move his body, even for just a few minutes. Do one difficult thing early on, and most importantly, finish what he started. Of course, some days he failed. Not a total wipeout, but enough to feel that sting of disappointment. But the difference this time was profound. He didn't quit. He learned that consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about returning. Returning after weakness. Returning after doubt. You just get back on track. This war he was fighting wasn't visible to anyone else. No one saw the mornings he had to literally force himself forward, step by step. No one saw the nights he went to sleep unsatisfied with his progress, but proud that he hadn't given up. That silence, that lack of external validation, was a huge test. Because the ego craves recognition, it wants applause. But real, lasting growth happens when no one is watching. And then he realized something incredibly powerful. The man he wanted to become would never be built in public. He wouldn't be forged in the spotlight. He would be built in isolation. In the quiet moments of boredom, the mind-numbing repetition of daily habits. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, his mind started to adapt. The internal resistance grew quieter. His actions became more automatic. He stopped debating with himself every morning. He just did what was required. Not because he magically started to love it, but because he understood it was necessary. The pain didn't just disappear, but it changed its shape. It stopped feeling like pointless suffering and started feeling like training. And training, day in and day out, builds a kind of confidence that doesn't need words or external praise. He still didn't have much to show the world on the outside. No big promotion, no fancy car. But inside, something solid, something real was forming. For the first time in a very long time, he trusted himself again. Not because he felt invincible or suddenly strong, but because he had proven to himself that he would show up, especially when it was hardest. That was the quiet war. And he was winning it, one ordinary day at a time. Change doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself over time. At first, nothing looked different. Same face, same surroundings, same life. But inside, the noise had lowered. His thoughts were no longer fighting for attention. There was space between impulse and action. That space changed everything. He no longer reacted immediately. He responded deliberately. Discipline had become a default, not a battle. What once felt heavy now felt normal. The hardest part of his journey was behind him, not because life got easier, but because he became stronger. People around him sensed it, not through words, but through presence. He spoke less, listened more, moved with intention. There was no desperation in him anymore. And desperation is what people feel most. He stopped explaining his goals, stopped seeking approval, stopped comparing timelines, because comparison no longer controlled him. He understood something deeply. Progress doesn't scream, it whispers. His confidence wasn't loud, it was stable. Built from kept promises, not imagined futures. He handled pressure differently now. When stress appeared, he didn't escape. He leaned in, because discomfort was familiar. And familiarity removes fear. He didn't avoid hard days anymore. He expected them, and expectation removes shock. He still struggled. He still failed sometimes. But failure no longer defined him. It educated him. The man who once feared his limits now respected them. And respect created discipline. Discipline created freedom. That freedom showed in small ways. Clear mornings, focused work, calm decisions. People started trusting him without knowing why. Reliability is rare, and rare things stand out. He wasn't chasing success anymore. He was building alignment. And alignment creates momentum. Quietly, without drama, without shortcuts. The life he once wanted desperately was slowly forming, not because he chased it, but because he became the man who could hold it.